About a week and a half ago, I released a video on YouTube where I talk about the history of Malaysia with Pi AI, and it was really informative to me, and it was a cool experience. But the coolest part was all the comments I've been getting from all of you teaching me about some of the nuances of the history that Pi AI didn't specify, or some of the nuances that Pi AI may have gotten incorrect. So I wanted to share one particular comment with you because I thought it was really informative as a kind of update to that video. So this comment was written by @NutHazel, who is a great subscriber of mine who writes really thoughtful and informed comments to some of my videos. Actually, no evidence that Buddhists or Hindus were previously religions in ancient Peninsular Malaysia, but animism, paganism, can be seen today with the indigenous tribes of Malaya. Hence, some paganism culture can still be amongst the rural areas of Peninsula. There were no ancient shrines or temples found in Malaya other than Kedah Tua ancient civilization. The runaway prince that established Malacca was from Java Island, and it was in the late 14th century, not 15th century, since he also embraced Islam and established the Malacca Sultanate. By the time of the downfall of Malacca in the 16th century, Islam was already widespread in Peninsular Malaya and Sumatra. However, the one that brought Islam in Indonesia islands are actually the Chinese Hui tribe leaders that received Islam earlier than Southeast Asia. During the time of the Prophet Muhammad himself, when he sent one of his companions to spread Islam to China. The famous Chinese Sea Admiral Cheng Ho was actually a Muslim. Hinduism in Southeast Asia were embraced mostly by the Javanese people of Bali, but not throughout Java Island or other Javanese tribes of Sumatra. And Malaya people were mostly in Peninsular Malaya and Sumatra. There are around 400 indigenous groups of native tribes in Malaysia, while there are over 700 in Indonesia. The Bumi Putera status in Malaysia includes all the 400 indigenous native tribes along with the Malays, Mamak, which are South Indian Muslim earliest traders, Peranakan, which are Malacca's earliest Chinese traders, Sarani, which are the Portuguese descendants in Malacca, and also some Thai mixed heritage up north, Kelantan and Perlis State. The past seafarers tribes of native Malays are of Bugis tribe, same tribe with the current Sultan of Johor, and can be found mostly in the south of Peninsula. Personally, my own ancestors were from Javanese Sumatra, father's side, and Bugis plus Banjar tribes, mother's side. The current Malaysia's racial composition is roughly of 70% Bumiputera, 20% Chinese, and 10% Indians. However, the current Chinese and Indians population are not from the earlier era, but the one that was brought in by the British as their slaves in tin mines and tea and rubber plantations in the 18th century. After Malaysia received the independence, the Chinese and Indians were given the option to stay or return back to their home country. But in order to stay, they must obey the Constitution of Malaysia and the royalties. This is a very important factor as historically we know that the Chinese in China and Indians in India had rebelled against their own royalties, so they must strip away any idea of communism in order to integrate as a Malaysian post-independence. So I thought that was extremely interesting. Thank you so much, NutHazel, for sharing that comment. So her comment was actually in response to a comment left by CamRules659, who is another subscriber who leaves a lot of thoughtful comments, and this is what they had to say. Yes, Malaysia is indeed a unique country. Our system of monarchy dates back to the 15th century with the arrival of Prince of Sumatra to open a settlement named Malacca in current modern Malaysia. With that establishment, another Malay Sultan also spread out through the Malay Peninsula and Borneo. They could be from same lineage as most sultans are related to one another. During those times, trading had bustled in Malacca with people coming from Middle East, India, and China surrounding the region. During this time, the Sultan had converted to Islam when the Arab traders came in. Pre-Sultan Empire in Southeast Asia, or better known as Srivijaya, in the region, mostly they were Buddhist as proof of so many shrines found in Java and Malay Peninsula. After the fall of Malacca to Portuguese invaders in 1511, Malacca was conquered for 100 years before the Dutch came in 1640 to overtake Malacca with the help of Sultan Johor. So things changed with the Dutch willing to hand over Malacca to Malay Sultan and the Sultan agreeing to swap part of his land in southern Sumatra to the Dutch. That's why Indonesia was part of Dutch colonialism. When British arrived in 1786, they had an agreement with the Sultan of Kedah to protect the peninsula from the ongoing attacks from the Siamese, which are now known as Thailand. That is why Malaysia is known as a colony of Britain. In actual, it was not. It's only the Malay sultans agreed the British had the upper hand to rule Malaysia for some kind of protection from any would-be intruders. You could see how those two comments built off each other. I read the second one because I found that it kind of, even though it was a response to the first comment, it built on the lore, the story a bit more. And they both have slightly different perspectives. I also received a comment requesting me to do a reaction video to the latest coronation of the most recently elected Sultan. So I'm going to do my best to find a video that I'm allowed to use on YouTube. And I think that would be a really cool video. Thanks so much for your comments and being such amazing subscribers. I love you all.